Hello, I'm Regan Hanks from Mindful Budget, and I'm about to give you an introduction to the ME Money Mapping Program, which is developed by finance expert Chris Rule from MoneyMaze and Mortgage Escape Australia.
It's time to make time for me, bespoke finance technology. It's part software, part human, but all strategy. Our ME Money Mapping software is the only tool that you need to help make crystal clear financial choices. We combine strategy and cash flow with real life to allow for goal setting and budget planning on speed. Because knowledge is power, and it's just maths, not magic. Whether you want to build your realistic debt payoff plan, pay your mortgage off more quickly, save for your first home, or you plan a secure future for yourself and your family, understanding your finances is essential. Maybe you're planning for potential maternity leave or early retirement, or you're hoping to start investing. Wherever you're at with your finances, you need a clear picture of the situation. ME program, it's a computer program, but it's made for humans. In just a few details, you get access to the tools that you need to see your financial freedom. Build your strategic plan with a finance expert and get a month-by-month blueprint for your goals. Without money shifting, there is no need to refinance and no debt cycling. This is purely a look before you leap financial modeling program. So MoneyMaze was developed to give you the tangible financial modeling that you need to feel confident about your choices. This unique piece of software gives you unlimited modeling capabilities because financial health is about more than just your bank account. Predict the future. So imagine having a clear understanding of how each decision you make will affect your bottom line in 10, 20 or 30 years' time. But with MoneyMaze, you can. You can stop relying on online calculators, stop wondering if you'll ever be able to retire, because our simple supportive service will give you the tools you need to make those confident choices. Your personalized money map blueprint will land in your inbox within hours after your strategy session, putting the key puzzle pieces at your fingertips. Feel confident, informed, and fully in control for just $149. So what you get with the money mapping strategy plan? So we start with strategy. It's a 1-hour financial modeling session taking a holistic approach to your finance well-being. You receive a take-home comprehensive strategic brief with month-by-month money map guide. You'll receive a long-term illustrative financial outlook, as well as debt and saving strategies. Now I'm going to hand it over to Chris Rule, who's the director of MoneyMaze and founder and creator of the ME Money Mapping Program.
My name's Chris Rule. I'm from Mortgage Escape Australia. Just going to show you today how our program works, how we model people's loans and their cash flow to show them the results of using the program in its entirety and accurately. So you can now see, hopefully, on the screen, client information tab, income tab, assets and liabilities, living expenses, hobbies and goals. Hobbies and goals, not specifically, but the rest of that data is typically provided via an online form, which can be either completed by the client directly or on their behalf by their financial advisor. So I'm going to take you through this. It won't be quick. So I hope you'll bear with me because there's some pretty important stuff that we're talking about here in terms of helping people move forward with paying their debt off and understanding that they can get some control back into their lives, which is something that's pretty prevalent in the marketplace, in the community at the moment. People feeling that they're under a heap of pressure from sources that they can't control. So let's have a crack at this. Won't be a moment. So this particular plan, the names have been changed obviously to protect the innocent. So we'll call it Sam and Samantha Sample. There's all sorts of data that we can put in here about those guys. But at this point, we're just trying to say, hey, look, if this is where you are now, or if you're a financial professional, this is where your client is now, here's an opportunity to have a strategy to look at your cash flow, to use accounts like offset accounts in your favour to get ahead, to make sure that your money is being spent as efficiently and wisely as possible, at least in our opinion. So let's look at their data. Sam and Samantha have incomes of $95,000 and $50,000. So we can put in virtually anything in terms of income and will add to this table, and deductions as well. But in this case, we'll keep it simple. 95,000 coming in, 50,000 coming in, not really coming in, being paid, taxes coming off, leaving 78 and 42. If we take those that just carried down the bottom here, because we can put in allowances and things. So down here, we've got $10,122 per month available to these clients. And that's it. There is no more. So that's what we've got to play with. The reality of this is use it wisely. Save where you should save. We have a number of different options for different people. This one includes using an offset account, and that is a default position with the program if somebody has a home loan or an investment loan. If somebody doesn't have that and they're just saving to pay for something specifically, or that plus pay off personal debt, then we have plans for that as well. And I'll show you when we move over here to the planning hub where that looks and what that looks like. Okay, so these guys, home was worth $650, they owed $250, they owed $12, and they owed $5,000. They needed to get rid of these debts to move forward, and that's what they came to us about. We need to look at living expenses, but they didn't really know them at that particular time. So we've made an allowance in the planning hub that I'll explain in a minute about doing that. We'll come back to hobbies and goals after the planning hub. Won't be a sec. Okay, as I mentioned, we have a number of plans. Savings plan only, savings plan with personal debt in there. We can set targets to getting to a savings target by putting something in here. But we have no's next to them because that's not what the plans is in terms of what the program suggests. In this particular case, they have a home loan with personal debt. So we're going to use an offset account, and we're going to focus on paying the home loan down, but at the same time setting short-term savings targets. In this case, I've used $20,000, and a transfer once that target is hit toward paying down the more expensive debt, which would be the credit card and the personal loan, and then moving on to pay off the home loan after that. You can see down here that we've put in a $5,000 holiday, which is really important. I think you need to do that for people. They don't have to. 5,000 will come out, and they said they'd like to do these holidays or have these holidays in December. So in here, it just says commencing. In the later stages of the program that I'll show you, you can put an end date, but I've never seen anybody put in an end date for a holiday if they think they can do it, especially when you look at what's possible by using the program accurately and efficiently. So we're not about talking about putting a savings into an offset account. We're not about suggesting to people that they pay more than they have to on their loan to pay their debt down more quickly, because that's got to come from somewhere. That's got to come out of the $3,500. We're not talking about them paying more often, because that's the same thing. We're certainly not talking to them about paying more often. That's just virtually impossible, especially for most people in our community at the moment with debt. So we're talking about putting everything in a place where you just pay less interest. If you do, and you use the program properly, the potential for these guys, as the example, is to pay their mortgage off in 6.1 years instead of 30 years, including their personal debt. It's crazy. They would save themselves close to $340,000 in interest. Also crazy. So let's just move forward and show you how we came up with those numbers. So firstly, we looked at the home loan. We said that the interest rate, for the sake of the exercise, was 6%, and the loan was over 30 years. So their principal and interest payment that they have to allow for out of their $10,000 is close to $2,100 a month. The cash flow strategy is to take the $10,122 that they have in combined after-tax income monthly, put it into a 100% offset account against their home, and then take out what they need, firstly, to live off, and hopefully put that into different categories. Those things that are continuing debts, things that they know they have to cover in the first instance, spending cash ongoing, other, whatever they like to break that up into, provided it adds up to the figure that we've shown here of $3,500. The plan's going to be reasonably accurate at this point. Obviously, as life goes forward, things change. So we've taken 3,500 out to cover having fun and getting by. Over here, that's your living expenses. Over here, we've taken out $2,400. That is $2,098 to cover the home loan, and we've allowed $387 per month to cover the unsecured debts, so the other loans, the personal loan and the credit card. And the idea is to get rid of that debt by setting short-term goals, as I mentioned. And in this case, we've said we're going to set a goal of saving $20,000, then we're going to take $15,000 for the sake of the exercise out. Doesn't have to be, none of this has to be anything. It's just an example. We're going to take it out and we're going to attack this first. The reason we're going to do that is obviously it's unsecured debt at a higher interest rate. So we're using an offset account. That's the plan we're looking at. Let's look at what it really looks like. Month 1, July, loan, offset, interest rate to work out the principal interest payment, effective interest rate to show what the amount of interest out of the principal and interest payment, the amount of interest out of the principal and interest payment is being paid if you use a program and you use an offset account properly. The home loan, $350,000, as we mentioned, after tax monthly income combined, $10,000. Interest is being calculated by the bank daily, but charged monthly. So the longer you can leave money, all of your money, every cent in your offset account, the better off you are. So in this month, 10,000's gone in. They needed to live, so we took out 3,500, as I showed in the prior tab. So that's come off. We've made our principal interest payments, so that's come off. We've covered those two debts, so that's come out. And I've even put in here the cost of an offset account because that's often a contentious point. But in my opinion, irrelevant if the plan's used properly. So what it's done, this is just a spreadsheet. It's 10,122 less 3,500 less 2,098 less that, leaves that in savings, sitting in the offset account. Big savings. So this becomes a really relevant part of the exercise, to know what people are actually spending, help them know what they're spending, and make sure that it's somewhere in line with that figure for us to achieve that end goal of 6 years. So the crux of that is, what is this number? So in here we have the home loan, we have the payment coming out of the offset account over to the home loan, and then this is how much interest is being kept by the bank or the lender. So clearly $2,098 does not come off the home loan, because this is what the bank, quite rightly, it's not an argument, it's not bank bashing here. This is the agreement that has been entered into over 30 years, which means that the debt has only reduced by $400-ish. Not great. This figure is calculated in here to show that if these funds, these savings, are left in the offset account, that's the amount of interest paid. And you can do this, we'll do it a couple of times, but if you take that figure, multiply it by 12, in fact, here's a calculation, multiply it by 12 and divide it by this figure, you'll get that figure. The beauty of this is the clients, that if they can see this kind of a scenario, they can see that they have some control over what they're doing, and they can see that if they have a plan, a strategy, a cash flow strategy, that they can get some control back in their lives. There's a lot of concern and worry in our community at the moment about interest rate rises, about cost of living rises, all of those sorts of things. We need to help people find ways to feel better about their future and to understand that they need to have a plan. That's what we're all about. So let's go through that again. We put that in, we took that out, all the red ones out, came up with that. In the second month, we left those savings in the offset account. just draw your eye to that figure from here and compare these things as we move forward. So we can show the client that 3,700 is already there. That's savings. The same income's gone in the next month, the same living expenses, the same principal and interest payment, and the same payment to cover those other debts. Now, if you remember, we set a target of $20,000 if they want to help them get rid of that personal debt more quickly. So it's a short-term savings goal to show people what can happen if they just follow a strategy for a period of time. Down here, if we add that to that, take all the bad ones off, we're now at $7,000 in savings. 7,000. So again, I emphasize this is really important. If you have a look further down the track here, nothing's much changing except the savings are looking great. I highlighted in here that 20,000 target being hit, because in the plan it said, well, if we get to 20,000, why not take some of that money and take a chunk out of something, one of the debts. Now, the most expensive debt is obviously the credit card and the personal loan. So you can see the 15,000 in the next month coming out. It hasn't gone to the home loan because it wasn't enough to clear the personal debt combined, but it was by here. So instead of paying off debt over 5 years, as the plan has allowed for with this payment, they've paid the debt off in 8 months. Gone for 9 months. It's done. So let's just recap there. Savings, short-term savings target, 20 grand or more. So the program's gone, oh, okay, we've achieved $20,000 at the end of this month. In the next month, let's take $15,000. That's just the figure that was set, and pay it somewhere. I'll just show you down the bottom here how that has worked. It's gone from there to the unconsolidated, a lot of tabs here, unconsolidated debt. So we had 17,000 combined. We allowed for interest at 13% across the board as a blended rate. That interest came to $184. We're paying $387 to these two debts, which reduced the combined debt in the normal manner. We got to 20,000 in the offset account. We transferred $15,000, brought it down to $751, and we made 2 more payments, and it's gone in the 8th month. That's a massive win. That's a massive win from any number of points of view. One, that's debt that's just gone now. From here on, and people can save for what they want to do because they can see that the savings are there to do that particular exercise. So let's get away from that short-term borrowing and work on a strategy. And it's a strategy for finance professionals that will allow or create the mindset for the client that they need to stick to their plan and talk to their finance broker before they talk to anybody else about what the next idea or the next what if looks like before going ahead and actually doing it, or doing it with somebody else, which is a concern for the professional, like a car yard. So in this month, got to 20, had 10 more coming in, paid out 3.5, had a holiday, paid their principal interest loan, paid the other debt, paid $15,000 to this combined unconsolidated debt, left with 4 grand. Started building again. And then the beauty of this is the 376 isn't coming out in the 9th month. Therefore, their savings are growing more quickly. Therefore, they're paying less interest. Just to bring your eye back to the effective interest rate here. And let's go back to this one because that changed up because we took money out of the offset account. In month 5, again, same calculation, N28, which is this figure, multiplied by 12 to take it to an annual and divided by the balance, means that they were paying 5.65%, not 6%. Not all about interest rate. Interest rate's super important, but also about how much interest is paid, and you can control that to some extent by using the right financial tools just to pay less out of the same amount. It dispels the myth of having to pay more or more often or more often. You don't have to do that, and you can't afford to do that necessarily because it's going to come out of that 3,500. So in that month, the interest payment out of the principal and interest payment was 1,641 from 1,731 5 months earlier. It's exciting. Well, I think it's exciting. So in the next month, because we took 15 grand out, that figure was a little bit higher, but it didn't matter because immediately that has affected this payment that's going out, and we move forward as part of a understandable strategy. So you can see that the interest rate starts to come down again until we do another drawing, which would be when we got to 20,000 again, and we said, okay, let's put that 15,000 someplace. The program automatically looks to see if there is anything floating around up here, sorry, on that line. It's saying, oh, there is no other debt, so let's just pay it off the mortgage. Don't have to, doesn't make any difference, but it does create the short-term goal mindset and give the client a feel for what's happening if they follow a specific strategy. And look, there's not all that much pain involved. You can still go on holiday. You can still do whatever you want to do because it's the power of compounding interest back the other way. Not paying something is vital. At the end of 12 months, in that particular month, it was 5.71 because we'd taken 15 grand out and paid it off, but this has come off the mortgage now. So this effective interest rate is going to vary depending on how much is coming out of the offset account, if it's coming out of the offset account. The average over the year was 5.78, not 6%. The end of the next year, it's 5.62. The end of the next year, I didn't put any further just to show the example. But you can see here every time the target is hit in the next month, if you're setting short-term goals, this debt is continually dropping. You've allowed for the holiday. It's a pretty exciting time for people in this circumstance. So hopefully that all made sense to you. Be happy to field any questions you have. Just reply to the email and break those down, or give me a call. Happy to talk about this all day, every day. But the reality of this is, if that was the case, 6 years and 1 month with a holiday, if they had been paying that mortgage off in the normal, traditional manner over 30 years at 6%, they would have paid $405,000 in interest alone, not principal interest, interest alone. In the program, $69,400, saving of $336,000. Before I let you go, the program also allows for changes in income. So if Sam knew his income was going to change from a specific or to a specific amount, date, end date, we can do 3 changes. The same with Samantha. We've allowed for a holiday here. You know, if there, we can put in anything in here that is required. Anytime we like, we can put in bonuses. It'll all impact. We can show people what the equity in their home is, not including growth. This is just equity created by them using a plan and working with their finance professional if they have one, and if they haven't, they should get one ongoing. Hope it all made sense. Thanks for listening. Peace.